of those 144, 18 of them reportedly appear to exhibit unusual flight characteristics, appear to demonstrate advanced technology, and some of them appeared to remain stationary in winds aloft, move against the wind, maneuver abruptly, or move at considerable speed without discernible means of propulsion. That's pretty intriguing. And if you're maneuver abruptly or move at considerable speed without discernible means of propulsion. Without discernible means of propulsion.
All right, Shalom. This is Har 1 by Yasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. When I say Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Harakah Kodash, Ma'amah. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders. And Shalom to you, Akim, and Agwati, my children, that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. This is going to be a lesson dealing with propulsion and how the chariots, like this guy said in this congressional hearing that they had on the what they call UAPs or UFOs, they had it in a few weeks ago, and during that congressional meeting, one of the congressmen said, or the representatives, he said that it had no means, no visible means of propulsion. Meaning these chariots, these UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, meaning it's doing things that they can't explain. All right, moving at speeds and trajectories. These chariots are moving at speeds and trajectories and angles and turns in ways that they can't even imagine. All right, they can't figure it out. It defies their laws of physics, the human laws of physics. All right, in this third dimension. So here go the definition of the word propulsion. And it says the action of driving or pushing forward. So what's pushing these chariots forward? What's controlling them? They didn't see any propellers, or rockets shooting off behind it. All right. So what is it? What's propelling these chariots? What's controlling them? What's the power of the Lord? All right, that's controlling them. And to give a little understanding on that, we're gonna go into Ezekiel, which is one of my favorite chapters in the Bible, the book of Ezekiel. All right. Now, let's deal with it, because Ezekiel had a vision of the chariots. All right. He saw the chariots while he was by what's called the river Kibar. Let's get it. All right, this would be the area where Ezekiel was at, and it was written in history that Ezekiel was it's in the scriptures too, but one part is not, that he was taken captive with the captives of Jerusalem that went into Babylon under Nebuchadnezzar. But he stayed there with his wife. He was able to live there with his wife, and he was with the captives that were by the river Kibar. All right, and this is where he was at. Okay, and while he was there by the river, see, the Lord would wait till he get you in private. Just like like back then, if we didn't have closets to pray in, a lot of people would go up under the myrtle trees, or they would go to the river. All right, so that's where he was at, located at. Now, this is how it looks. All right, so this is where he was at, approximately. where he saw the chariots, the river Kibar. Deep, huh? So, with that being said, let's get into it. All right, because there was 3 exiles at that time. You know, you had one exile with Jehoiakim, another exile with who was that? Zedekiah. Okay, or Jehoiakim, and then Jehoiakim, his son. Then you had another exile with Zedekiah. All right, 586. So, what it's looking like is Ezekiel was part of that first exile, most likely under Jehoiakim. Okay. Now, let's get into it. This is Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river Kibar. See that? That the heavens were open, and I saw visions of the powers. All right. Now, this is more like a vision. Now, did he physically see it? Hey, you know, but I believe it was a vision, me personally. But he said he saw visions of the powers. All right. Now let's get this. It says, all right. It says in the 30th year, he was by the river Kibar. Now the 30th, what he's talking about there is, and you can put this in your notes if you follow this camp. It would be from 622 BC. All right, BC before Common Era. So 622 was what? That was when the last Passover was. It's important to know. All right, that's why if you see this, you should put it in your notes. 622 was when the last Passover happened with Josiah, King Josiah. And then 30 years from that would get you, all right, around 652. All right, so Lucky, I think I pressed the wrong button. So it'd be 622 take away 30. All right. So 622 BC minus 30 years, it would give you 592. Okay. And 592 is the year when what's his name? Ezekiel was sitting by the river Kibar, all right, in 592. Because it also said in the 5th year of Jehoiakim's captivity. And Jehoiakim, he went into slavery into captivity around 597. So 5 years later, boom, 592 is John accurate, all right? So let's get into it. It says, now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, all right? So 592, the 4th month, today would be January, February, March, April, around April, all right? It was right around April, around the Passover. So that's why Ezekiel was saying in the 30th year, so it was around the 30th Passover from the last Passover. All right, the last time everybody came together before they were taken in captivity. As I was he was among the captives, all right, by the river Kibar, that the heavens were open, and I saw visions of Yahweh in the 5th day of the month. So that same month, April. So on the 5th day, so you get down to the accurate day as well. All right. So it was the 5th of April, 592 BC. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity, not Jehoiakim, that was his dad. Jehoiakim, he went into captivity 598. All right, he ruled from 609 to 598. Let me get this real quick. All right, let's see where it goes. This is 2 Kings 23 and 22. It says, surely there was not holden such a Passover from the days of the judges that judged Israel, nor in all the days of the kings of Israel, nor of the kings of Judah. But in the 18th year of King Josiah, wherein this Passover was holden to the Lord in Jerusalem. Now, so let's get into it. King Josiah, he ruled from approximately 640 or 641. He was commissioned, I think 640 he started ruling, all the way till 609. So let's get it. Let's take 640 and subtract 18, because it said in the 18th year of Josiah is when they had the Passover, and it equals what? 622. All right, accurate. So King Josiah ruled from around 641 to 640 to 609, and it's saying right here that it says, verse 23, but in the 18th year of King Josiah, wherein this Passover was holden to the Lord in Jerusalem. See? And now 30 years later, you get Ezekiel. All right. Moreover, the workers, well, actually, that'll take me into something else. Let me keep going with my point. All right, so this is clear. And it follows it up in First Ezra's 1. It says 1 and 22, just real quick. In the 18th year of the reign of Josiah was this Passover kept. And you can read that in First Ezra's chapter 1. All right. Let's skip down, and it tells you how King Josiah fell by joining into that war against Pharaoh Necho. All right. When Pharaoh Necho of Egypt, he was on his way to Carchemish to fight against Nebuchadnezzar. All right, to stop Nebuchadnezzar from rising up, or Nebuchadnezzar. And then next thing you know, Josiah went against him, and Pharaoh Necho was like, yo, I had nothing to do with you, man, you know. And he killed him in the war. He died in the war. He got sick and had to go home, and when Josiah got back to Jerusalem, he died there. All right, so now let's get to the point. We're dealing with a timeline real quick. This is First Ezra's 1 and 43. It says, and Jehoiakim, his son, reigned in his stead. Who is that? It's talking about right here. The king of Egypt also made King Jehoiakim, his brother, king of Judea and Jerusalem. Let me read it up to get to the point so it won't be confusing. Here you go. Now this is after Josiah died. Let me read from here, 33. These things are written in the book of the stories of the kings of Judah, and every one of the acts that Josiah did, and his glory, and his understanding in the law of the Lord, and in the things that he had done before. See, Josiah was righteous. And the things now recited are reported in the book of the kings and of Israel and Judea. And the people took Jehoiachaz, the son of Josiah, and made him king. So the people came together and made Jehoiachaz the new king. And he ruled for about 3 months. All right. And made him king instead of Josiah's, his father, when he was basically 23 years old. So he was 23. See, back in the ancient times, our people used to be young rulers. All right. And he reigned in Judea and in Jerusalem 3 months. That's it. He only ruled 3 months. All right. So it was around 609 or so. All right, 610. And then the king of Egypt deposed him from reigning in Jerusalem. So now the king of Egypt stepped up, Pharaoh Necho, and he removed Jehoiachaz from power. And he set up this wicked Jake named Jehoiakim. Jehoiakim was so wicked that he took letters from Jeremiah, pamphlets, which were written on leaves at the time, or papyrus, and he threw them in the fire and burned them. That's like somebody today burning the Bible. And he set a tax upon the land of 100 talents of silver and 1 talent of gold. All right. And that's when you get the whole back and forth between Egypt and Babylon and those battles of Carchemish. And Israel was caught up in the middle of it. The king of Egypt also made King Jehoiakim his brother king of Judea and Jerusalem. So that's when Jehoiakim started ruling in 609 BC, all the way till his captivity. He was taken in chains into Babylon around 598. All right, so that would be kind of like the first exile under Babylon, not Egypt. Now it says here, and he bound Jehoiakim and the nobles, but Xerxes, his brother, he apprehended and brought him out of Egypt. All right. 25 years old was Jehoiakim when he was made king in the land of Judea and Jerusalem, and he did evil before the Lord, so he was evil. Now, mind you, the book of Ezekiel, he was talking about, Ezekiel was saying he was part of the captives that were taken during the reign of Jehoiakim, and now we're about to get to that. Wherefore so now we know Jehoiakim was ruling. It says here, wherefore against him Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, came up and bound him with the chain of brass and carried him into Babylon, talking about Jehoiakim, all right, who was wicked. And he took him into Babylon around 598 BC. Now Nebuchadnezzar also took of the holy vessels of the Lord and carried them away and set them in his own temple at Babylon. And we hear about these holy vessels with people like, what was his name? I can't think of his name right now. He had Nabonidus and his son Belshazzar, all right, which were the grandsons of Nebuchadnezzar. And they were caught partying with these same vessels that their grandfather took, his grandfather being Nebuchadnezzar. Just like today, Esau can be caught with the things they took from Israel that their forefathers took. But those things that are recorded of him and of his uncleanness and impiety are written in the Chronicles of Kings, talking about Jehoiakim. And Jehoiakim, they got an M there, but it's supposed to be an N, as in Nancy, N. And Jehoiakim, his son, reigned in his stead. That was 598 BC. And he was made king being 18 years old. 18 kings. And reigned but 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem, and did evil before the Lord. So he only reigned for 3 months. So about a year before he was taken out of power. So after a year, Nebuchadnezzar sent and caused him to be brought into Babylon with the holy vessels of the Lord. And he made Zedekiah king of Judea and Jerusalem when he was 21 years old, and he reigned 11 years. All right, so he did that. That's what Nebuchadnezzar did, and he did that in 598. So those were 2 exiles, one with Jehoiakim, and the second was with his dad, Jehoiakim. With his son, Jehoiakim, when they established Zedekiah. And then the third exile was 586 BC when they took Zedekiah. All right, so this is the river Kibar. Let's get back to it so we have some understanding of the time period when Ezekiel saw these vehicles in the sky. And they weren't planes, because the Wright brothers, the Wright brothers, they didn't come around to the 1700s. All right. Pull it up on here. Who was that? The Wright brothers. Right. These devils here, they started piloting planes and, experimenting with it. It says here, the Wright brothers was around the 1800s, all right? What's this? On December 17, 1903, it'll be 1903, 1900s, the Wright brothers made history in their Kitty Hawk flyer with the first powered flight. So before that, you wouldn't have saw no planes in the sky, man. You've seen nothing but chariots, all right? Those are the only vehicles that were in the sky. And now, when the Lord shows up, it's gonna be a no-fly zone, according to the Revelation chapter 12. These heathens, there's not gonna be any place found for them in the heavens, in rulership. It's gonna be a war, all right? A war in the heavens. All right, so let's get back into it, because at this congressional meeting, they showed videos, and they said it was 144, dig the number, videos that where these unidentified aerial phenomenon, they showed characteristics and did all kind of maneuvers that Esau couldn't understand. All right, and this was how it looked right here from one of the videos. And it was so fast they couldn't catch it on the video. All right. Yep. So let's get into it. This is Ezekiel 1 and 2. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity. All right. So mind you, the son of Jehoiakim was taken into captivity. His name was Jehoiakim, and he was taken into captivity after 3 months of ruling, around 598, or going into, he said a year later, so it'd be 597. All right, so they said in the 5th year of his captivity, what would that be? 5 years later would be 592. All right, so that's when this happened with Ezekiel. 30 years after the last Passover. All right. And you heard it here first. This is the word of the Lord came expressly, verse 3. The word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel, the priest. All right, so the Spirit came to him and was dealing with him. The son of Buzai in the land of the Chaldeans, by the river Kibar, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him, man. See, the Lord was dealing with him. All right, let me get this real quick. Right. See something. Yeah, that's right. Here you go. Yep, Ezekiel was of the tribe of Levi. Okay, if I need to show that scripture, I can show that too. But he was one of the Levites. He was taken into captivity. All right. The word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel, the priest. All right, and the hand of the Lord was upon him there. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, and a great cloud. All right, I ain't gonna get too many precepts on this when I get to the point. but that great cloud was a chariot. All right, and the whirlwind represents like a. If you notice a helicopter showing up and it got close, all that wind that it would create. That's what it was talking about. A wind came out of the north, out of the sky. All right, it was rotating, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. So it was the color of amber, like a yellowish brown, like a glow. All right, and it was enfolding itself, sort of like on Independence Day, when that big giant chariot was moving forward. It was burning up the elements in the sky. It says, also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. Now the 4 living creatures is the same thing as the 4 beasts spoken of in Revelation, speaking about the angels. All right, in chapter 5, I think chapter 6. So it just means living creatures. That's what the word beast means, living creatures. And this was their appearance. So how did they look? They had the likeness of a man, meaning they look like men. All right, they look just like us, but they're not human in flesh. They're spirits. So, but they look like men. All throughout the scriptures, every time you read, it tell you what the angels look like. It tell you they look like men. And every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings. Now, this is not talking about the chariots. It's talking about the chariots, but not how they look. All right, I want to correct that too. It's talking about the actual angels, how they look. And it's saying every one had their 4 duties, all right, their purposes, or rank, or armies. And every one had their 4 wings. Okay, so it'd be like a V formation. But imagine each duck having 4 ducks behind it. So it'd be like it was a huge fleet of chariots, all right? So each one was a general of those 4 chariots, all right? And they had 4 chariots behind them, each one of them, in V formation. And their feet were straight feet. And what that means is their path was set up for righteousness. You can look at them and tell they stood for righteousness, all right, on the right-hand side, by their countenance. And the sole of their feet was the sole of the calf's foot, meaning it was rotating, circular, all right, and it had a little indentation in it. So it was a circular cloud in the sky, all right, frisking round, and it had a little indentation in it. And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass, man. So that was the color of these chariots. They were like burnished brass, like a vehicle. All right, that's why they see the chariots today. Some of them look like metal objects, metallic. And they had the hands, this is the point. Because remember, this lesson is about no visible means of propulsion. When it's the Lord that's propelling these chariots, right, giving them the power. And they had the hands of a man under their wings. So there you go. And that word hand right there represents power. So they had the power of a man. What's that? That's the Spirit of the Lord that's in the chariots. I'm going to prove that. And they had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides. And they 4 had their 4 wings, all right, faces and their wings, man. So each one had their fleet of chariots with them. But the power, where they get the electricity from, JEA, electric company in America? No. We get it from nuclear power? Nope. The power comes from the Lord that's in these chariots. We go over Ezekiel 1 and 9. All right, I'm gonna start from 18. And for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful. And that word rings represents, as I went into this before, all right, that word rings right here in verse 18. As for their rings, it means their strakes, all right, STRAKE. And the strakes represents these right here, all right, what catches the wind, you know. No, these are called strakes, all right. But saying that strakes, vehicle strakes, was so high that it was like scary. It was way up there, all right, intimidating. Imagine that, man, back in the ancient times, seeing something so huge, like a plane, you know. Today you see one, but back then. So, their rings were full of eyes round about them four, man. So they had windows around them. And when the living creatures went, so wherever these angels went at, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. All right. Imagine your car following you everywhere. You don't need a garage. It'd be like the Nimbus cloud off of Dragon Ball Z. You know, follow you everywhere you needed to go. Whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up over against them, meaning over them, or near them. For the spirit or the life of the living creature was in the wheels. You see that? I'm going to read that again. For the spirit or the life of the living creature was in the wheels. So this, see that? And that life or the spirit of Yahushua is in the wheels. And that spirit comes from who? The Father, Yahweh. All right? So, you know, the angels. So they get their power from the angels and Yahweh Bashim, well, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua and the angels. That's whose power in these chariots. Right? So no physical means of propulsion. All right? I could end it there to make the point, but let's get a couple more precepts to show that the Most High controls everything, even the holy angels and their chariots and all of that. So their propulsion comes from the Lord. Acts 17 and 28, for in him we live and move. All right, so even the chariots, they live and they move in the Spirit of the Lord. For in him we live and move and have our being. As certain also of your own poets have said, for we are also his offspring. So just like the angels too. So in the power of the Lord, the angels live and they move. All right, the chariots too. Let me get Sirach. 18 and 3. Sirach 18 and 3. Who governeth the world with the palm of his hand, man. So the Lord controlling everything with the power of his hand. That's why it said, under the wings was the hand of a man. And that word hand either represents a messenger, like an angel, or the power of the palm of the hand would be the power of the hand. So the palm of the Lord's hand is how he's controlling everything. It says what? Who governeth the world with the palm of his hand, and all things obey his will, even the chariots. For he is the king of all, by his power dividing holy things among them from the profane. To whom have he given power to declare his works? Who shall find out his noble acts? The elect. This is Sirach 18 and 3. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised, and so shall I be saved from all my enemies. All right. So, right. So I'm gonna get to the point. Psalms 18 and 9. He bowed the heavens also, and came down, and darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherub, and did fly, man. Yea, he did fly upon the wings of the wind. So he's controlling it. You know, using the chariots. That's the cloud that Ezekiel saw. All right, let me get to the point. Psalms 1 and 4 and 3. Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters. So he got a temple out there in the heavens. Shemayim. Who maketh the clouds his chariot. Who walketh upon the wings of the wind. So that's what the Lord did. He made the clouds his chariot. All right. Oh, but you I forgot the word for it. Let me get it. All right. So there's a different word. It says Iba. And it says an envelope, darkness, a cloud, a copse, darkness, cloud, thicket, cloud mass, a thicket as refuge, man. All right, and the scriptures say the lion has come out of his thicket, and that's Yahushua. When he comes out of the chariot, he come out of the heavens. It's Shemayim. He's watching as through a lattice, you know, looking at us from the heavens. And he make a cloud mass. All right, that's what the scriptures say. The chariots are like a cloud by day, fire by night. All right, so this how a chariot would be shaped. Because it say he made a copse, his chariot. So this is how they would be shaped right here. All right, it's like a group of trees together. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so I'm gonna end it there, man. But yeah, these damn Edomites, they have no idea what the hell going on. He said it has no physical means or visible means of propulsion. They don't know how it's being propelled. And it says Ezekiel 1 and 8, and they had the hands of a man under their wings on their four sides, and they four had their four faces. All right, so they had their duties, and they had the power of the Lord propelling their chariots, man. What Esau calls UAPs or UFOs. Ezekiel 1 and 20, whithersoever the Spirit was to go, they went. All right, wherever the Spirit was leading these angels, the chariots went too. Thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up over against them, meaning near them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. So that's who's propelling these chariots, man. All right, so with that, I'm going to say shalom.